Good morning, Internet Land. Hello, hello, hello. We are just waiting for our good friend Instagram to catch up to speed, and then we will begin our live broadcast. DIY Wellness, talking about the felt experience of self compassion, which is so important. Okay, here we are. All right, now we're live everywhere. So let us begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of DIY Wellness. I'm your host, Brian Hogan, life coach, filmmaker, and clinical therapist, and founder of the Shift Model. And today we're going to be using the Shift Model at the end for 10 minutes to actually get a felt experience of self-compassion as much as our system will allow today. And before we do that, I'll spend the first few minutes here just talking about why self-compassion is so important. What is the big deal about this? Because honestly, it is everything. So today we're going to talk about why self-compassion is so hard and why it has nothing to do with letting ourselves off the hook. We're also going to talk about how self-compassion is beyond verbal explanation. So I'm going to use words to talk about how it's beyond words and how it only becomes real when it's a felt experience. Otherwise, it feels like gaslighting. And then the last point is how the felt experience of self-compassion leads to accountability, not away from it, because we tend to think that the more self-compassion we have, the less accountable we're going to hold ourselves. But the opposite ends up being true. And this is backed by research as well as all mystical traditions and my own experience too. And then finally, in the last little bit, like I said, I'll lead you guys through a shift experience to touch into a little bit of self-compassion for yourself in real time. So let's dive into this. Why self-compassion has nothing to do with letting ourselves off the hook. Okay? It's self-compassion is hard because we have been taught that it's selfish, a waste of time, like not even real to have it. Like think about this. We say to others all the time, cut yourself some slack. Take it easy. Peace be with you. And we say to ourselves all the time, I can't stop or it falls apart. I should be better at this. I'm lazy and others work harder than me. It's my own fault that I'm struggling. Struggling means I'm weak. I shouldn't be struggling. So the way that we talk to others is not the way that we tend to talk to ourselves. It's a huge double standard. And what it means is that all of the grace we're trying to give outward, it's weaker than it would be if we were also giving ourselves grace, because anything that you have a real felt experience of, you're better at giving out into the world. That's why they say things in corporate settings like, if you're going to be a CEO, make sure you do the line factory worker's job, at least for a little while, so that you understand what it's like to live inside the felt experience of the factory worker, so that when you're the CEO, you'll treat them better. It's the same thing here. If we don't have the feeling of what it's like to live inside a system that treats ourselves with compassion, then all the compassion that we give out to others is going to be a little bit weaker because we don't know what the hell we're talking about, because we don't have it for ourselves. So culture teaches us to take responsibility, and it teaches us that all mistakes should be punished, and punished harshly. So starting with getting humiliated in school for having the wrong answer, raising our hand and then being told no, right up until the death penalty, we get punished harshly for mistakes. So have some grace for the human parts of ourselves that make mistakes. Having that grace for those parts, it seems, well, wrong. It just seems flat wrong. Like that's not what we should be doing. However, it's exactly what we should be doing. Buddhist psychology explicitly teaches that humans naturally develop a harsh self-judgment due to conditioning. I've talked about this in other episodes. It's called papancha. It's like the verbal proliferation of thoughts. They just on and on and on and on. And the antidote in Buddhist philosophy is loving kindness towards the self. Not indulgent. It's necessary for awakening this, to have loving kindness. And polyvagal theory backs this up too. Our culture punishes mistakes. It activates dorsal or sympathetic responses, shuts down the ventral vagal system where accountability actually lives. So punishment reduces our ability to take responsibility, because then we feel shame and guilt and this like, how dare you push me into a corner kind of a vibe. So self-compassion is scientifically, mystically, psychologically very well grounded. And then the second point, how self-compassion is beyond explanation and beyond real, and becomes real only by felt experience. So it is a felt experience only. Self-compassion, anything other than the felt experience, is just words. And then that is just like Hallmark card words. And then those words tend to feel to us like invalidating or gaslighting because we don't think they're true. Like if someone says, oh, you did your best, you should let yourself off the hook. But if you don't believe that's true, then you're just like, ah, what do they know? And you're anxious for them to leave so you can get back to flogging yourself because you don't need that energy that's a mismatch for who you are. But that's because you're not having the felt experience of self-compassion. You're just having the words, and the words don't ring true. The felt experience will ring truer than anything you've ever felt in your life once you have it, because it's the natural state of who you are. I saw this over and over last week. Me and my colleague Miriam ran a 7-day journey called Holistic Alchemy for a whole bunch of people. And there was 50 of us in that room together. And day after day, comment after comment was about, oh, I'm finally allowing myself to feel what it feels like to touch into self-acceptance, to touch into self-compassion, to touch into willingness to feel instead of experiential avoidance. Over and over, all week long, people were alchemizing their emotions and touching into self-compassion because the felt experience made it possible. Not the words, not the teaching, but the shifting that we did in real time that we're going to do at the end here. So it's not a cognitive thing. We can approach it cognitively at first in order to understand what we mean by it. But unless it translates to a felt experience, it will always seem like gaslighting yourself or taking yourself into a better state of being, like talking yourself into a better state of being, which doesn't work in any kind of lasting way. But self-compassion does work if you can drop out of the mind and into the felt experience. IFS says self-compassion emerges from the self, not the mind's attempt to be nice. Eckhart Tolle is a spiritual teacher, and he teaches that compassion is a state of presence that can't be manufactured. Sufi mystics describe compassion as a taste. It's called dwak. And what that means is you don't understand self-compassion, you taste it. Like viscerally, you have the felt experience of it. You feel it. So how the felt experience of self-compassion will lead to accountability? How will that happen? Well, when you have the felt experience of self-compassion, you'll stop shaming yourself, or much less often. And so you start seeing yourself more clearly and with empathy. And in that environment where you see yourself with clarity and empathy, it's an environment of safety and trust between you and yourself and your parts. And so coming clean and taking responsibility for our actions becomes easier. And it also becomes inevitable because our compassion for ourselves, when felt, becomes contagious and expands into compassion all around. Compassion for our friends, for our family, for the world, for society. And as that happens, we simply cannot stand it if we don't take responsibility for ourselves. Because not only is it safe to do so now within our own psyche, but we care about others so much that we can't not do it. So self-compassion as words leads to you letting yourself off the hook. Oh, I should just let myself off and take it easy. And it leads to this permissive thing, or it leads to you not believing it at all and flogging yourself more. But the visceral experience of self-compassion leads to deep peace, deep joy, deep freedom, and deep self-responsibility. In the Bible, Jesus said this. He said it very explicitly, but we don't understand what he meant. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. So if you really think about that statement, love of self is implied. Jesus knew in the depths of his bones that self-love was the molten core engine that powered lasting outward rippling compassion. That's why he didn't say, love yourself the way you love your neighbors, because that's backwards. You can't love your neighbors with an elixir you don't yourself possess. So love towards self is primary. Love your neighbors as you already, ongoingly, skillfully, with practice and consistency, love yourself. You can't love them first. You must love you first. It's not selfish. It's actually the only way. So if you want to be selfless in this world, you better start loving on yourself, and you better start loving on yourself hard. Okay? That's the most selfless thing you can do. Neurobiology backs this up too. When the system perceives relational or internal safety, the prefrontal cortex re-engages, shame decreases, self-reflection increases, and that defensive lying and holding and hiding that we do, it just drops off dramatically. Contemporary psychology even says self-compassion predicts healthier behavior than self-criticism. There was a massive meta-analytic study in 2015 that showed that Self-compassion as opposed to self-criticism led to people putting more effort into their endeavors, making more repair with friends and family, taking more accountability for things they've made mistakes on, less avoidance of hard things, and less shame and defensiveness overall. Self-criticism does the opposite of that. So if you want to follow the truth of science, you're going to have to learn self-compassion. If you want to follow the truth of all mystical traditions, you're going to have to learn self-compassion. If you want to find a way to be loving and kind to the people in your life, you're going to have to learn self-compassion. It's the only way. So let's do that a little bit together now. Let's do a shift experience. Compassion through the protective system. This is take 10 minutes, just 10 minutes to yourself. So wherever you are right now, we're just going to get grounded. This is a really short shift experience to help you touch into your protective system and feel for a moment the felt experience, not the idea, but the somatic reality of it. So if all you get today is a tiny crack in the door, a sliver of light, that's enough. That's how it starts. So we're going to begin by helping your nervous system settle, and then we'll move into a tapping parts work thing. So to help our nervous system settle, we're going to do a VU breath and we're going to push away. So the way you do push away is you're going to just basically push your hands out in front of you like this, but not lightly, as if right here you're holding a giant boulder that's bigger than you, and you're going to push it out like that. And as we're doing that, we're going to do a VU breath. So at the same time, you're going to breathe in, and then when you breathe out, you're going to say VU and let the VU sound wrap around your tongue and come out like this. VU. Okay, and you're going to go all the way out with it. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do a push away that regulates our nervous system, and then we're going to tap. So breathe in with me. Arms up. Okay, and just notice what you feel. Let the vibration move through you. You can't get this wrong. And now just place your hand on your heart and bring your awareness inward. You don't need to go looking for anything intense. Just invite the part of you that's been working the hardest lately. Maybe it's the perfectionist. Maybe it's the inner critic. Maybe it's a part that's scared of what happens if you slow down. Maybe it's a part that thinks compassion is a weakness or a joke. Whatever comes in is perfect. If nothing's ready to come, that's perfect too. The body knows what it's ready for. Your system knows, and your parts can be watching from the sides without you even being aware. So let's just ask gently, who's been trying to protect me lately? And see what arises. A sensation, a memory, a voice, an image, a pressure in your chest. Nothing is wrong here. Nothing needs to change. We're just meeting this protector with presence. And we're going to do a little light shift experience here. So begin tapping on the side of your hands and repeat after me. Even though this protector is working so hard, I'm open to understanding it. Even though part of me thinks I don't deserve compassion, I'm willing to explore something new. Even though this part is scared to soften, I honor how hard it has worked to keep me safe. Top of the head. I am here for this protector. Eyebrow. This protector who won't let me off the hook. Side of the eye. It thinks it's saving me. Under the eye. It thinks if it relaxes, everything will fall apart. Under the nose. It learned that compassion is dangerous. Chin. It learned that softness means we lose control. Collarbone. It learned that mistakes should be punished. Under the arm. So of course it feels this way. This part has carried so much for so long. Okay, take a nice deep breath here. And then just go right back to the top of your head, knowing we're going to allow this protector to speak. Just what it's ready to say, no pressure. Eyebrow. If this protector could speak, what would it say? Just let the body answer, no thinking, no analyzing. Side of the eye. I'm listening. Under the eye. I'm not here to silence you. Under the nose. I'm not here to judge you. Chin. You protected me when no one else could. Collarbone. You kept me alive. You've been so loyal. Under the arm. Thank you for everything you've done. Okay, stop tapping. Take a nice, slow, deep breath in through the nose and a long, slow exhale through pursed lips. And just notice what shifts as gratitude starts to settle, tries to invite itself into your body here. Place your hand wherever your protector feels present right now, chest, belly, throat. And speak from self, a gentle, warm, and steady message. Let your part know you don't have to disappear. You don't have to let go completely. And you don't have to hold everything alone. So picture a small crack in the door of your mind and a single beam of warm light coming through. Not overwhelming, not forcing anything, just a possibility of the outside, of softness, of beginning. And say internally, what if compassion could touch us, all of these parts, through this one little opening? You don't need to feel fully compassionate. All you need is permission for a single drop to enter. That drop is enough to begin rewiring an entire system. Stay with it for one breath. Letting the warmth spread only as much as your body and your parts allow. And letting your parts know that this compassion, this warmth is persistent. It doesn't mind stubborn parts, skeptical parts, or angry parts that don't want it around. It's persistent, it's respectful, it goes slow. Now imagine this protector resting for just a moment, not disappearing, just resting. And imagine yourself placing a hand on its shoulder and let that part know we're on the same team and I won't abandon you. Just feel what softens. Feel what becomes possible. Feel the body return to safety, truth, and kindness, even in small amounts. Take one more deep breath in through the nose, the deepest breath you've taken so far today. And then exhale. You did so beautifully. Self-compassion doesn't arrive all at once. It comes drop by drop. And today you let a drop in. That's enough. That's the beginning of everything. So today we talked about why self-compassion has nothing to do with letting ourselves off the hook, how self-compassion is beyond explanation, and went into a felt experience. And now you know that that felt experience will lead to more compassion, more accountability, and more freedom. So if what you heard here resonates with you, then share this video with those you know that might appreciate this message. And if you have questions about these topics or anything like that, put it in the chat, put it in the comments. Help you get unstuck and celebrate your wins is my goal. So just remember, DIY wellness means do it yourself, but it does not mean that you have to do it all by yourself. So I'll be back again next week at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love, everybody. I trust you, humanity. Bye.